The quiet of a New Delhi Sunday, May 18, 2025, was shattered. Professor Ali Khan Mahmoodabad, a name synonymous with thoughtful historical inquiry and incisive political commentary, was arrested. Plucked from his home, 60 kilometers south of Ashoka University where he shaped young minds. The news spread like a stain on fresh linen, a dark, indelible mark on the already frayed fabric of Indian democracy. It was a tremor, a jolt that resonated far beyond the confines of his Sonipat campus. This arrest did not occur in a vacuum. April had brought the horror of the Kashmir massacre, 26 souls, mostly Hindu tourists, extinguished. Then came May, and with it Operation Sindoor, a military dance with Pakistan, ending in a tense ceasefire. The government, they say, was sensitive to any narrative that didn't echo its own triumphal declarations. Professor Mahmoodabad had dared to offer a different tune. The arrest felt like a punctuation mark, a signal, a warning flare. For many, the knock on Professor Mahmoodabad's door was not just for him, it was a knock that echoed in their own hearts. And so, the story begins. It is a story of our times, a story of India in 2025, where the lines between dissent and sedition are being redrawn with a ruthless hand. Who is this man, Ali Khan Mahmoodabad, whose words could shake the foundations of a seemingly mighty state? He is not just a professor, you understand. He is a historian, a thinker, an author. His mind, a repository of stories, of uncomfortable truths, of nuanced perspectives. He is, in essence, an intellectual, one of the few remaining public voices from the Indian Muslim community willing to engage critically and fearlessly with the complexities of the present. His work, his lectures, his writings, they are not mere academic exercises, they are interventions. This is the man they arrested, a man armed not with weapons but with ideas. The reasons for Professor Mahmoodabad's arrest, when they trickled out, were as chilling as they were predictable. A social media post. He had dared to critique the BJP government. He had questioned the blind bloodlust for war he saw in its supporters. He had pointed out the grotesque hypocrisy, the state applauding a Muslim military officer while sanctioning mob lynchings and the arbitrary bulldozing of Muslim homes. The charges themselves were a curious cocktail. Section 152 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, 2023, the new cloak for the old monster of sedition. Section 353 for public mischief. And then, the truly bizarre Section 79, insulting the modesty of a woman. Al Jazeera's sources also whispered of graver accusations, acts prejudicial to maintaining communal harmony, incitement of armed rebellion, and insults of religious beliefs. The New York Times simply stated he was accused of threatening India's sovereignty. The complaint came from one Yogesh Jathari, General Secretary of the BJP Youth Wing in Haryana. And then there is the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, the UAPA. While the initial summaries did not explicitly name UAPA in Professor Mahmoodabad's case, its shadow stretches long and dark over such arrests. The UAPA allows for prolonged detention without trial, making the process itself the punishment. Professor Mahmoodabad, in his defense, stated his comments were misunderstood, that his intent was to safeguard lives, to promote justice. But in these times, intent is irrelevant. The message was clear: speak out of turn, question the official story, and the vast machinery of the state will grind you down. Professor Mahmoodabad's arrest is not an isolated incident. It is part of a pattern of repression that has become the hallmark of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's decade-long reign. Intellectuals, students, journalists, activists, anyone who dares to raise a critical voice can find themselves ensnared in a web of criminal charges. And if that voice happens to belong to a Muslim, the scrutiny intensifies. Consider the landscape. It is littered with the ghosts of silenced voices. Scholars who questioned historical narratives rewritten to suit majoritarian ideologies. Students who protested against discriminatory laws and faced brutal crackdowns. Journalists who reported uncomfortable truths only to be branded anti-national. The list grows longer with each passing year. India's constitution promises a land where every citizen can live with dignity, speak freely, and practice their faith without fear. Yet, for many Indian Muslims today, these promises ring hollow. The lived reality is a stark contradiction to the eloquent prose of that sacred text. Consider the phenomenon of bulldozer justice, the demolition of predominantly Muslim-owned properties, often under the flimsiest of pretexts. Homes, shops, livelihoods reduced to rubble. It is presented as a swift action against illegal encroachments or rioters, but the pattern is undeniable. It is collective punishment, a brutal assertion of state power. Then there is the calculated misuse of laws. Sedition, once a colonial relic, now resurrected and weaponized. The Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, or UAPA, with its stringent bail conditions and prolonged pre-trial detentions. These are not aberrations, they are systemic. Legalized discrimination, cloaked in the garb of national security or public order. This is the fractured reality. A social media post. That was Professor Mahmoodabad's crime. A few hundred characters expressing an opinion, a critique. In a robust democracy, such an act would be considered normal. But in the India of 2025, words have become weapons. The professor's post, which questioned the government's war rhetoric and highlighted the hypocrisy in its treatment of Muslims, was deemed too dangerous. The reactions to his arrest were swift. Amnesty International condemned the arrest as unwarranted. Leaders from the opposition voiced their condemnation. The space for dissent is shrinking at an alarming rate. Professor Mahmoodabad's arrest cannot be viewed in isolation. It is a single brushstroke on a larger canvas of escalating communal tensions in India. The timing of the arrest, in late May 2025, is instructive. The preceding month, April, had witnessed the horrific massacre of 26 people in Kashmir. Such incidents are exploited to deepen communal divides. Professor Mahmoodabad had supported the armed forces' response, but also highlighted the ongoing persecution of Muslims. This nuanced stance irks the architects of division. Arrests like these are often carefully calibrated moves designed to send specific messages. They serve to further polarize society and intimidate minorities into silence. The state's heavy hand deepens the communal fault lines. Is India evolving into a place where silence is the only safe refuge for its Muslim citizens? The arrest of Professor Ali Khan Mahmoodabad is a mirror reflecting a deeply troubled nation. The implications for India's democratic credentials are profound. A democracy thrives on the free exchange of ideas. When intellectuals are arrested for their thoughts, the very soul of democracy begins to wither. The Muslim question is about the character of India itself. Can a nation be democratic if a significant portion of its citizenry lives in fear? The promise of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas sounds increasingly like a cruel joke. Yet even in the darkest of times, hope flickers. The struggle for India's soul is far from over.